Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
And here we go, which will be the last time we do Game Day Live in 2023. Baylor 3-8, trying to get to 4-8, but maybe 3-9. West Virginia, the Mountaineers in town, who's been one of the nicer stories in the Big 12. Speaking of the Big 12, Texas took care of business big time against Texas Tech, right? Oklahoma State has to win, and they would be in. Paul Catalina, whoa, what's happening in Stillwater right now?
I don't know. That question has been asked a couple different times this year. And right now, the way that BYU's played and the fact that they're on the road, you would have thought that this would have been not a cakewalk for Oklahoma State, because I don't think that Kalani Sitake, as a Kalani Sitake coach team is cakewalked all that often. But this is a great matchup for them. And here they are, kind of just stuck in neutral once again. And, their offense is not a come from behind offense.
No.
It's a get the lead and then grind it out and then punish you offense. And this is so far off from what they were a few weeks ago. Look, they lost a couple weeks ago to UCF. Then they let that carry over into 3.5 quarters of the Houston game before they threw, or 3 quarters of the Houston game before they finally threw it down into overdrive. And here, look, Houston, BYU is not as bad as Houston. So you cannot just hope that you're going to turn it on in the fourth quarter all the time in the second half. They've got to get it right. Well, they're staring the Big 12 championship game right in the face, and right now it's just moving further and further back.
Let's be honest. The Baylor, West Virginia Mountaineers are trying to get to another win. It's been a nice year for Neil Brown, considering he was on the hot seat like Dave Randa is right now. And could this be Dave Randa's last game? We will hear in a moment from Chad Botherine. He's at McLean Stadium. We'll have him. We'll also hear my conversation from earlier this week with Dave Randa. He understands what is on the table, maybe even if Baylor was to beat West Virginia, which would be an upset. Huge game earlier today. Michigan beats Ohio State. That puts them in the Big Ten championship game. We'll discuss the ramifications of that game. Does it affect the Big 12 champion if it's Texas? Does it affect ACC champion if that's Florida State? They have to play Florida tonight. Louisville knocked out by what? Kentucky. After coming back most of the game, Louisville dictated it but never could separate. Right now, Alabama, Auburn. Washington leads Washington State by 7. That game right now late in the second quarter. Garrett Ross, Paul Catalina, Craig is back with us on Monday, and this is the CW and Game Day Live. Let's go to Chad. He's at McLean Stadium. It's kind of a nasty day, maybe even threat of possible spitting and rain. But, Chad, let's get to the bottom line. This could be Dave Aranda's last game. I don't know if he's lost the locker room or not, but your thoughts about what's on the line tonight, or do you feel like that decision pretty much has already been made?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me once again. The thing is, there's not a lot on the line in terms of, I guess, what's going to happen this season, because in my opinion, I think the decision's already made, whether that is to keep him beginning of the season or they move on. But, I think the thing that's interesting with the coaching carousel, I was thinking about it all week during Thanksgiving. A lot of teams that are moving forward, that are clear-cut, 3-8, two-win teams, they've already kind of moved on. So you almost wonder is Baylor behind the curve in terms of if they are to move on for Randa. And so that's what I kind of thought about a lot. With this, the program, I feel like they really can go one or two ways, obviously. I mean, the only two options, but I have no idea what they're thinking. But there's no question about it that his seat is hotter than ever in this last game.
Yeah, Chad, and I think the thing that's going to be weird for the fans and the team and everybody is that we're not going to know what they're thinking until tomorrow. Like until it said he's coming back, he's not coming back. So that's going to hang over this game no matter what happens. And really breaking down the game at this point feels kind of pointless, because it's all just in the way of what is next year, because the season ends for Baylor tonight no matter what happens.
Yeah, Chad, again, live from McLean Stadium. Paul made the great point, Chad, that winning tonight just makes it 4-8 rather than 3-9, but it just delays the inevitable of what might happen tomorrow morning when Mack Rhodes, the AD, sits down and visits with him. Let's discuss this game. West Virginia, Chad, is one of the best teams in the country running the football offensively. Baylor's not very good at stopping the run. Let's look at that and whether or not that changes. I don't know why it would after 11 weeks so far.
Yeah, well, I think, you've seen Baylor's defense. Really, they cannot stop the run at all. Pretty much, most of the guys on the team have had trouble that are not named Matt Jones. I mean, obviously I think he's going to have 12 tackles today, but he's going to be exhausted. And if he doesn't have a performance like that, then, I believe it's C.J. Donaldson, their leading rusher. He's averaging 8 yards a carry. That's exhausting for a defense. And, this team, they don't have to pass the ball a lot to score a lot of points. So they could have a field day on the ground. West Virginia could. So not really a good recipe defensively for Baylor at all. And then, of course, on the offensive side, well, the reason why they run the ball so well is because they've only given up 9 sacks the entire year. I'm pretty sure Baylor's offensive line has had 6 or 7 sacks in the game before. So that just tells you how much protection they have. Obviously, that goes into their success running the ball this year.
Well, on the offensive side of the ball for Baylor, Chad, Blake Shapen's probably not going to play in this game. We haven't got an update since a few days ago, but when you hear on Monday that it's probably not going to happen, then I'm going to stick that nothing much has changed in 4 days.
Yeah. There wouldn't be really much point to play him, even if you were, somehow to, make some type of miraculous recovery in the last couple of days. But there wouldn't be much point. And, you talk about Randa's last game potentially. I mean, what is Blake Shapen's future? Because he could still have some more time, of eligibility. And so, I mean, you wonder, there's going to be obviously many conversations with him over the next couple of days, lots tomorrow as well, and maybe even late tonight. And so, he's kind of a guy that, who knows what is going to happen to him. And, one thing, though, that we're really going to have to look for after this game is just what is going to happen in the locker room, what's going to happen with some of these guys, and if they are to retain some of their coaching staff, are they able to also retain some of those players? Because that should be their number one priority. They have some guys that they can develop, but it's going to be very, very challenging, and there's not much incentive from what I can see right now for some of these guys like Kaden Jackson, who can go probably play ball anywhere, for some of these big names that they have that they can develop that can really stick around Waco.
Chad, thank you very much. Overcast, it was spitting on me a little bit, but it looks like, I don't know, that might be something down the road at McLean Stadium. Chad Botherine will join us again later in the pregame show. We'll hear from Ricky Thompson, sideline reporter for Baylor, Jed Drenning, sideline reporter and analyst for West Virginia, and also, again, a conversation with Dave Randa, Garrett Ross just around the corner with the keys to the game. Here's one thing to think about. West Virginia is number 4 in the country rushing offense. Number 4 in the country. Baylor, out of 31 schools, is 113th in the country stopping the run. And that's just like almost unheard of for a defense with Dave Randa as the head coach. They have just not been able. They haven't been very good at either side of the ball. Special teams erratic. It's like the worst of all three, the trifecta of you cannot have nothing. The Hankins had the one game he kicked all the field goals, but it's been a bad year all the way around. And then that's why you're 3-8 and also favored to lose at home to West Virginia.
And this is a terrible matchup for Baylor. I mean, it just is. I mean, when the one thing you do the worst on either side of the ball is the one thing that they do the best. It's just, it's just one of those deals. And then when you say, like, okay, well, at least we've got a quarterback that can sometimes make things happen. Well, probably not tonight, again, the benefits to playing him are none because, and I know that there's like a group of, like, there's groups of fans out there that wonder, if this game goes the right way for them, if they're 4-8 instead of 3-9, does Mack Rhodes make a decision? I don't think most are made on that. Like, you can't look at it at one game because you have to look at the whole thing. So this is not going to affect Dave Aranda's status one way or the other. They can win this game 55-0. It's not going to change the fact that there are things going on that Dave Aranda would have to correct if he came back. It's not, this isn't the end of the dance movie where if they win the contest, they can buy back the community center. Right. It's not how that's going to happen.
Well, I do know this, that if you would have thought that if the decision was to retain Dave Aranda moving forward, that might have been announced earlier.
Yeah.
The NIL program, which was revamped, and also Jeremy Fudge, who's a part of that, the CEO of BAL, but also heavily involved in the GXG, was on with us earlier in the week. and discussed how they have now not only do players across the board get an equal amount of money like it is now, and some walk-ons too, but now it's going to be a performance deal. Not so much pay for performance, but what is your value? What is your market value? But, that's what you would think if he was going to be retained. But Mack Rhoades seemed like the last time we spoke with him, he wasn't quite sure. I think he's always been pretty good about keeping it at his closest. His inner circle is very small. There may not be enough people in his inner circle to have a circle.
No,
as far as when it comes to things like this.
Look, and I've said this for a week. Garrett can tell you every time in the postgame show, what I try to explain to people when they're saying, well, why not just do this? There is a calculus here. It's kind of a long math equation, right? So you know how much actually only Mack really knows how much that is in Baylor. Right. But you have, let's just say it's probably less than 20 million, but it's a 7-figure buyout. It's for David Randa.
Yeah, I'm going to guess. I could be way off this. No one's ever told me this, but I'm going to think that maybe between 5 and 10 million. I don't know if it's higher than that.
Yeah,
but maybe 10 would give you that 7-figure.
It's a 7 or 8. I mean, I guess that would be 8 if it was 10. But it's not a Jimbo buyout, but it's not a.
And it also can go lower after you've played your last game. Yeah. That's one of the kick-ins too.
And it's not a Jimbo buyout, but it's not a Northwestern State buyout. It's not those. It's in the middle of that, probably, and on the higher end. So there's that. There's also the how much money do I lose from power brokers who are mad about it? How much ticket sales are affected by fans who are not enthused about next season and don't renew? So there's all those things that go on that long board, like Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting that he has to solve. And I do think a large part of this and a large part of the equation is, and I've kind of agree with him. One day I do think Dave Randa is going to be hoisting conference championship trophies and doing interviews after a game saying, well, this is how I figure this out. And Baylor does not want to be looking at that with him in another shirt going, damn, we had him. We should have just let him figure it out. But also, college football moves so fast now, it's a lot harder to do the on-the-job training.
Well, there are a lot of people that act like they know, and I don't know if Mack Rhoades yet knows. I don't. I tell you what will be interesting. How many people are there tonight? That's one of the things that's part of the decision-making. How many people will be at McLean Stadium for the game that kicks off in an hour and 20 minutes or so? Because I even had somebody who's a pretty high-level booster text me and go, what's your over-under on the attendance? It's supposed to be 45 or 50, right? I mean, as far as ticket sales may be a number that's announced, it will be probably one half of actually who will be at the game. I had some fans even tell me over the week, hope you've had a great Thanksgiving week, that they wish it would have been an 11 o'clock game just to get it over with. But if Dave Randa would have been a hard, prickly person to deal with, maybe that decision was made a week or two ago. Would have been. Maybe he doesn't get a chance to finish the year. There are some that said no matter how nice he is, he needs to be gone. The frustration level is very high. Dave Randa, when you hear from him in a minute, even knows it. He knows it's a business. He even said having a bad year coming off what was another bad year from what 12-2 was. So Mack Rhoades has a decision to make, and what will happen no matter the score tonight. Most likely he and Dave Randa will meet sometime early tomorrow morning. A decision is made. Maybe the revamped NIL gives him more time, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to keep everybody. Caden Jenkins is happy now because he got paid, right? That's pretty obvious. That doesn't guarantee that if you are more aggressive in the transfer portal, you hit the right people.
It also doesn't guarantee that he's going to stay.
No, and also Blake Shapen's future. Who's the offensive coordinator? Because we're going to talk about Dave Randa. The coordinators are in play here. Matt Pallad's a first-year guy. Jeff Grimes, who came in, was brilliant, 12-2. What about position coaches? Everything's on the line about that coming up tonight, 6 o'clock. Just after that, it's West Virginia and Baylor. When we come back, we'll have the keys to the game, a couple of nuggets about West Virginia, Baylor, the series that started out with a bang. Remember that in Morgantown about 12 years ago? That and more. We'll update the scores. This is Game Day Live.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Central Texas Plumbing Solutions, and Centex Roof Systems.
Hail damage to your roof can be costly to your home, so why not protect yourself now? Get your roof repaired or replaced by Central Texas's most trusted roofer, Centex Roof Systems. Our team will evaluate your damage and get you a quote fast so we can repair your roof quickly and efficiently. After the storm, call the name you can trust. Call Centex Roof Systems today for your quote or visit us online at centexrs.com. Your hometown roofer, Centex Roof Systems. God bless Texas.
Hi, I'm John Proctor with Home Place Interiors. You know, nothing compares to the quality of an area rug to finish your house. Come by and save 50% on all in-stock and special order rugs. Come by Home Place Interiors where quality is affordable.
For all your flooring needs, visit Home Place Interiors at 523 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Shelley's business needs to be more efficient, and she heard hybrid meeting would help. She called Asbel Electronics, and we took her vision and created a space that was easy to use and maximized live interaction in the office while fully interacting with customers and remote workers. Pastor Dave wanted to live stream his Sunday services, so he called Asbel Electronics. We implemented technologies that brought the in-church experience to the living room while minimizing volunteers' workflow. Let us make your vision come true. Contact Asbel Electronics for all your professional audio-visual needs.
Oklahoma State scored early against BYU. They're trying to get back in that game after a horrendous start. It's now 24-13, 11 minutes left, third quarter. Plenty of time left. And Washington State is within a point of Washington. UW is up by one, extra point to come late in the second quarter. Baylor and West Virginia. Do you all remember the opening game ever? 70-63. Nick Florence and Terrence Williams were remarkable. But so was West Virginia, Paul.
Geno Smith.
63, yep.
Geno Smith and Stedman Bailey and Tavon Austin. As a matter of fact, Stedman Bailey, who had a devastating he shot. He had, we had him on the Super Bowl one time, and we asked him, what did you think about that game? He had just story after you say it was wild. I mean, and that was the first time we'd heard from somebody from the West Virginia side on that one. Of course, we've talked to everybody, on the Baylor side on it. But that was the wildest game, and I remember talking to Phil Bennett right after it. Was it Phil Bennett then? Yeah,
that was his first year. Yeah,
Bennett's first year. We're talking to Phil Bennett right after it and going, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't want to do that again.
Well, we're going to get to one where the defensive coordinator at West Virginia got one turned around on him. But last year, remember Baylor controlling the game in Morgantown. And remember when all of a sudden Blake Shapen escapes the pocket, what happened?
The wild, weird fumble, right?
Ball fumbled away, goes to the other side. West Virginia scoop and score. And next thing you know, all hell broke loose, and West Virginia won 43-40.
That to me was the game where things went awry for Blake Shapen. From that point on, it became this kind of up and down roller coaster for him, and he was in his own head. I think that's the toughest part, I think, for a lot of Baylor fans this season should be to reconcile the fact that the really only question they had, even though they should have had more going in, was, can Blake Shapen be the guy? And what if Sawyer Robertson beats him out and all these different things that were going to happen? Well, Blake Shapen, I think, answered all those questions. Now, he hasn't played perfect, but I would say that if you were going to go down the list of things that they had to absolutely fix this year, Shapen's at the end.
Yeah.
He's at the end, and his problems are minor, but it did to me – that fumble might have been the time where he crawled into his own head a little bit, and then you saw those things kind of made him so skittish down the stretch of the season.
He's been good this year, but again, running for his life, and not perfect, but he's been one of the few bright spots, I guess you could say, during 2023. Baylor is 4-1 at home against West Virginia. West Virginia beat Baylor in Waco in 2017, 38-36. West Virginia has never lost to Baylor in Morgantown. Kind of like the modern version of what Stillwater was like for the longest of time. Largest margin of victory. In 2013, Baylor beat West Virginia. Defensive coordinator after the game said it was catastrophic, 73-42. And West Virginia in 2018, their largest margin of victory, 58-14 in a game Matt Rule said he fed to his team over and over and over again for the next 12 months after that. When we come back, Garrett Ross, keys to the game, Baylor, West Virginia. This is Game Day Live.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
What up, everybody? Welcome back into Game Day Live. I'm Garrett Ross with today's Keys to the Game presented by Richard Carr Motors. Our first key to today's game is pretty simple. It's going to be get off the field on 3rd down. This is something that Baylor has struggled with all year long. Their defensive line has either been out of position or they just get bullied, and it comes at the most inopportune times. If you look last week in that game against TCU, there were multiple occasions where the Bears had the opportunity. They had the Frogs behind the chains where it was like 3rd and 25 or 3rd and long, and just in general. And there were times where they just completely blew that. They weren't able to get in the right coverage. You saw Jared Wiley feast on them across the middle, keep drives alive, and TCU was just able to exploit that over and over again. And that left Baylor's defense completely gassed because you have an opportunity to get your offense back on the field. And while they were struggling, they could at least take some pressure off of you, let you catch your breath, try to get something and just match TCU score for score. But every time that came to fruition, Baylor was not able to take care of business. They were on field multiple times on 3rd downs, which led to new drives over and over again, and ultimately led to a blowout and TCU putting Baylor to bed once again. This is going to be a difficult challenge this week against West Virginia, who's going to try to pound the ball at Baylor and just kind of take their will. Baylor has got to find a way on 3rd down to get off the field and give their offense a chance to score against the Mountaineers.
Our second key is just take advantage of senior day, man. Like, this is the last time guys like TJ Franklin, Gabe Hall, Garmin Randolph, Matt Jones, like a lot of the people who have been around who were part of that Big 12 championship team, this is their final ride, man. This is their final opportunity to go play on McLean Stadium. Hopefully you have a packed house there. I'm just realistically don't see that happening. But at the same time, just put out and show up for whoever shows up and to watch you and support you. You know your family and your friends will definitely be there. But just use some of that magic, man. You've had multiple opportunities this year, if you're this group, to step up. We saw some of it last week. I think Matt Jones did play pretty good against TCU. TJ Franklin did as well, but the consistency hasn't been there all year long. That's been one of the more disappointing things of how the season has unfolded is these older guys just haven't lived up to the hype. They haven't lived up to the expectation, and they haven't captured that moment. This is it, man. This is your last opportunity to do that. You are not going bowling. This is the last time you're going to put the pads on and walk onto McLean Stadium as a member of this football team. And it might be the last time you do it with these coaches and the staff together as well. For them it will be, but definitely for the guys under them. But this is it, man. Go out there, make the most of this opportunity, leave everything on the field, and make an impression, make some big plays, and make your name be respected going forward. If you're able to do that, they might be able to make it competitive, but regardless, you got to take advantage of senior day if you're Baylor. Our last key is the most difficult, man. It's going to be stop the run against this West Virginia team. West Virginia's offensive line is not only one of the best in the Big 12, but it's also one of the best in the nation. They also are bringing back a lot of guys next year. They are going to be a loaded group. When you look at this rushing attack, even though C.J. Donaldson has been hurt, you've had other backs who have stepped up, and they just haven't missed a beat. They started to find their rhythm. Garrett Green is a difference maker while running the ball. Baylor's got to find a way to make Garrett Green beat them through the air. It's going to be difficult, but you've got to find a way to be physical, line up, be ready, because West Virginia is going to run the ball at you all game long. You've got to find a way to load the box, just sell out, and make Garrett Green have to throw the ball to beat you. If you don't, it's going to be bad because West Virginia is extremely efficient. They rush for over 500 yards a game right now, and they are really dominant on the offensive line. But Baylor has got to find a way to just slow this rushing attack down, and that will go hand in hand with our first key is getting off the field on third down. If you're able to do that, I think you can keep it interesting, but we'll see. But you've definitely got to be ready, and you've got to stop this West Virginia rushing attack. That's going to do it for today's Keys to the Game. We'll be back with more Game Day Live right after this.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Hi, my name is Randy Crook. I'm the president of Waco Goodfellas. Our organization strives to ensure that every kid has a chance to believe in Santa Claus. Over the last 30 years, we've touched the lives of over 5,000 children, each one leaving away with a gift, a smile, and the belief that kindness still exists. This year, we're hoping to raise $10,000 to deliver a piece of Christmas to hundreds of homes across Waco, not only to fill the hearts of the kids, but the family as a whole.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
You can trust the KWTX First Alert Weather Team.
Jed Drenning, sideline reporter, analyst for West Virginia Radio. Neil Brown, is there still any warmth at all in on his seat?
Well, I can imagine. But as I always preface that, response with, that's way above my pay grade. But, Vegas pegged us at 4.5 wins over under. So we're sitting here parked at 7 with a game to go and a bowl game. So, I can't imagine. I've heard chatter that he's going to be in the conversation for Big 12 Coach of the Year just based on the level to which we have overachieved. That'd be my take on that.
Jed, what did you think of the rushing performance last week against Cincinnati? Just an incredible showing. Something I know that a lot of Baylor fans, given their rush defense, are pretty concerned about, even more so after last weekend. But your thoughts on that win and just sort of where they found themselves positioned here entering the final week?
Yeah, I don't think the O-line was happy with the way they performed, obviously, in Norman against the Sooners. And then that was compounded by the fact that a few days later, the finalist list for the Joe Moore Award, which goes to the outstanding offensive line in college football each year, the finalist list came out with the top or final 15, and West Virginia's offensive line wasn't among the top 15. I think that they took that personally. I really do. I mean, that's one of those awards, guys, that you know all about it. It's cool because it's a group award. It's not an individual award. So those O-lines really take a lot of pride in being in the conversation to be part of that. And I think ours does as well. So if you're going to look at any metric measuring the success or productivity of an offensive line, I defy you to find one that suggests West Virginia shouldn't be among the 15 best in the country. I mean, when you look at what we've been able to do, we've been pretty consistent with it too. We're averaging 5.1 yards per carry. That's the most by a West Virginia offense in 2016. We're averaging 233 rush yards per game. That's the most by a West Virginia offense since Pat White was playing in 2007. And in league play, we're one of 2 Power 5 teams in the country that have allowed just 3 sacks. So how we are not one of the 15 best offensive lines in the country, I don't know. And I think the offensive line at West Virginia would agree with me. And they took that personally, and going against that Cincinnati front 7 that has a couple NFL guys in it, with Juwan Briggs, Dante Corleone. I think they came out, wanted to play some nasty football and see if they could push those guys around and make somewhat of a statement. And that's what you saw.
How much does what Garrett Green is, he's not the perfect guy when you look at what a quarterback is supposed to be, but I love his intensity, his physicality. He's not big, but he seems like he runs big. How much does it help also having someone like him for them to block for as well?
Yeah, sometimes he runs too big, right, guys? I can't say it. At least a couple of times a week, I'm reminding him on the sidelines, protect yourself. You don't need to be a hero every snap, but he's a junkyard dog. He leads the way, and Neil has said many times he gives us a chance each week out. We always feel like we have a chance with Garrett. He's electrifying. He's explosive. He plays on the edge, doesn't leave anything on the field, and really what he does with the skill set that he has, you don't have to make the perfect call. Sometimes you can get just as much production off script as you can on script in terms of him seeing something he doesn't like, tucking the football, finding a crease, finding a seam. So it puts you in much more manageable situations. And really, more so than anything, it forces the defense into an 11 on 11 equation versus an 11 on 10 proposition when we're running the football. So if you combine what we've got out of the productivity of the offensive line, the depth we've enjoyed at running back, and you plug Garrett's skill set into that, I think it's been a good fit. And a lot of people have tried to indict him because his completion percentage is hovering in the low 50s. Well, fair enough, but I would also point out that we have pushed the football vertically more than any point in several years. And a matter of fact, more than any team in the Big 12. I think we're averaging, when you look at Garrett's numbers, 24% or so of his throws have been 20-plus yards downfield. That's the highest number in the Big 12. So we're pushing the football vertical. Plus, he's doing his part in helping us avoid some of those sacks. So sometimes he hits the peanut vendor in the ear with it instead of putting himself in harm's way to survive and advance another down. So, I think there's some easy access throws that he needs to do a better job of completing to get that thing up in the mid-50s or even push 60%. But we're a vertical pass game team with a quarterback who can run, and that's by and large worked for us this year.
One thing that was noticeable last week with that big rushing output, that it was a lot of green, a lot of white. Donaldson contributed, but not in a major way compared to those two. I know he's a little banged up, Jed. So what is kind of the status as far as this week as opposed to last week when it appeared it was more of a game-time decision with C.J. Donaldson? Well, that's just it. He was in the green jersey last week. It was a game-time decision. We wanted to be cautious with how we proceeded with C.J. He's further along this week than last week, but he's still not at full health. And I don't mean that in the sense that nobody's at full health, because here we are at this point in November. It's football after all, right? But I still, that's something we still do need to keep an eye on. But I think he's further along than he was. But Jaheim has stepped up at the right point. And when you look at Justin Jackson, he's in the mix as well. And he's a steady hand that we've been able to lean on as a third option there too. So they've kind of shared that burden and shared that load, and it's worked out well for us.
Jed, when Neil Brown was at Big 12 Media Days, we had him on. He was pissed. You could tell it was an edge to him, as it was to the group that was there with West Virginia and Arlington. They were picked dead last in the league, and I'm one of the idiots that had them at the bottom. I really am. I admit that. But I was so impressed when he sat there and discussed, how can anybody with any kind of football brain think a team with our offensive line and who we have coming back can be that low? How much of that chip do they still have even now it's November?
It's not going away until the season ends. The number 14 is prominently displayed throughout the building. That has been the jet fuel throughout the course of this entire season, that level of disrespect. They're saying, all right, this is a football team with the most battle-tested offensive line in the league, with at least 2, if not 3 or more NFL guys on it. We think some of the best guys at their position, not just in the conference, but potentially in the country. And we brought all those guys back after finishing the season with wins against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. 4 newcomers. What exactly was everybody looking at to think that we are 14th on that list with this offensive line? Does blocking no longer matter in the game of football? That's kind of what they were looking at. We're like, we kind of think blocking does matter. And everything else from a success standpoint can be downstream from that. And, but in fairness to those who questioned us, Garrett wasn't inserted until late in the year. There were some question marks with all the new faces on the defensive side of the football. I think it was fair to question us. I just think that those in the building looked at it like question us to the point that we're 14. Really? Really?
Yeah. Enjoy it, Jed. Be careful on the trip here to Waco. We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for your time.
We appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Jed Drenning, West Virginia football sideline analyst with us on 365 Sports.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Central Texas Plumbing Solutions, and Centex Roof Systems.
What sets Hillcrest Dental Care apart is our vision of how we want to help other people be able to smile and be healthy and improve their quality of life.
When I came in, I had no teeth from here back because the bridge came off.
We were able to use dental implants, commonly referred to as a smile in a day, and literally take out the bad teeth and put in the new permanent teeth all in one day.
It looks natural to me. I don't feel guarded now. I'm enjoying my teeth.
I'm Carol Weaver with Waco Mattress Center. We know that sleep and comfort are important to self-care in today's hectic world, so let's look at some options. Our mattress experts have helped over 400,000 customers sleep better. The other guys, well, sometimes they sell mattresses, sometimes furniture, or sometimes appliances. Who do you trust for the best sleep? No gimmicks or fine print here. Waco Mattress Center, your local mattress experts. Thank you for your business and keeping it local.
Waco Mattress Center.
When the sun rises over Central Texas, we know there's work to be done. So if you need to dig, haul, cut, lift, mow, or anything in between, your local Bobcat dealers in Waco and Temple have all the equipment you'll need to get the job done right. We sell, we rent, and we've got parts and service to keep you up and running, no matter where the job takes you. There's work to do. Let's get it done.
Former Baylor receiver and sideline analyst Ricky Thompson joins us. Craig Smoak, David Smoak. Can you see them pulling anything like all of a sudden Baylor changes the last game after what we've seen all year?
Smokey, it would be somewhat surprising. I think it's just a difficult point in the season for these guys, particularly when they know it's last game. And it's just a mixture of a lot of things. You got the holiday period. I think the attendance is not going to be very good.
Yeah.
Students are gone, probably won't come back. And I will say, historically, the Baylor students have been great about coming back to ball games over Thanksgiving weekend. Most occasions, those late games have meant something, and this one doesn't have a lot of meaning other than you've got a group of seniors that are going to play their last game for Baylor, and they were part of the Big 12 championship 2 years ago. So for those guys, I hate the way this is going down toward the end, but this is going to be a tough game that points to playing without your quarterback as well. So I think they'll play hard. I just think it's an uphill battle at this point.
Ricky, what was that like when Blake Shapen was hurt last week? And just kind of what did you sense from the sidelines? And I guess just what are your thoughts on Sawyer Robertson having not played after getting that little, dabble of experience earlier on in the year? What can you really reasonably expect with him, and what do you expect on Saturday?
Yeah, going back to Blake, Craig, to your point, I think everybody was really disappointed in that, and to the effect of course, at that point in the game, it was done. But if that happens earlier in the game, I think it's really a huge disappointment because Blake has played so well under what I think haven't been very good circumstances with his protection and the shots he takes and the sacks. And I really thought while that play was legal, that was really an unnecessary hit by the TCU guy. Walk on, took his shot. Wasn't a penalty, but that's probably one you can pass on. The other side of it is maybe Blake's not in the game with a minute to go in the game over. Put Sawyer in there and see what happens. Going to Sawyer, I think this might be a little different for him in that when he stepped in last time, remember, guys, he got hurt pretty early too. And I think that ankle was a lot worse than we really thought. He made a couple of really good runs early, and then we kept wondering, why won't he take off with the ball? Why won't he go? Why is he not stepping into his throws? And as it all comes back, the kid was hurt and was playing hurt. And I think that was really not a fair assessment of him when he couldn't step with true form to deliver the football. Plus, he couldn't take off and run. And you just watching how he hobbles. So hopefully you see a healthy Sawyer Robertson. I think it's good that he gets to play. I mean, we're not playing for a bowl game, and I think that's fine. Rest Blake, let him get well, and see what Sawyer can do. As far as that goes, I think the timing's just fine. Let him play.
Ricky, we know, all of us know that there is discussion about what happens after the game Saturday night. Dave Randa, first year 2-7, then of course the best year in Baylor football history. And you as a former player can appreciate what was done. And then of course last year the way that thing ended, and this year it never started really, other than the nice comeback against UCF. What are your thoughts about if you stay the course, NIL is changing, young players, and then the opposite is if you stay the course and nothing changes, you really almost lose another year, 2 or 3?
That's a possibility, and that's a decision that has to be made. That one will go to Mack Rhodes and just have trust that he'll do what's right long-term for Baylor. I don't know exactly what that is. I do know that there have been adjustments made in the NIL, which had to happen. Mm-hmm. We're suddenly competitive in that regard, and I think if you compare it to the remaining Big 12 schools, throughout A&M and Texas, because I think they're anomalies, a little bit like Ohio State, some of the other schools, Georgia, where you have unlimited alumni resources to do whatever you want to do. But back that off, I think we put our NIL in a position now where we can compete with any of these Big 12 schools. So that part's done. Coaching decisions, those are some that are going to have to be made. I don't know what they'll be. I think you'll see some changes. I don't know how dramatic that'll be, but I think for a lot of reasons, just going into next year, that this off season, and I think, Smokey, I think it's got to be pretty quickly if there's going to be changes, whether it's coordinators or the top spot. You got to do it very quickly, because the first thing you have to do is recruit your own players and keep those guys and make sure they're not going anywhere. Then you've got to keep the class that you had, and then you've got to start working on new kids. So there's not a lot of time remaining. A lot of teams have already pulled the trigger. So we'll see where that goes. But I think those decisions will be made quickly, and then we'll go forward, whether it's with Dave or new coordinator or
all of the above.
Whole bunch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Ricky, on a scale of 1 to 10 or whatever, you get the gist. How disappointed? I know there's a lot of focus on the offense, but how disappointed have you been in the defense and just their performance overall this season?
Well, I think everybody is, and I mean, it's not a secret that they've not performed. And I thought Saturday was another case where we really were in a position to make some stops early and did. Remember, guys, they scored 42, but we stopped them twice inside the 10, once with a fumble and once with a fourth down hole. You kick those two on top of it, and it's really out of hand. Now, last score, we gave it to them. We go for a 4th and 4 on the 30-yard line. I mean, that's not a fair assessment of a defense. But I guess the part that would bother me more than if you've got a man-to-man coverage and the guy beats your man coverage, then you just get beat.
Yeah,
that's a one-on-one battle. The guy wins. But when you have a tight end go untouched 81 yards, that's not the same. And that's a mistake somewhere, either by a player or a call or a scheme. But then you get hit again on the same play for 3rd and 25, and you go for a 28-yard touchdown. Those are the ones that I think have to be fixed in some form or fashion, because, again, I can take somebody getting beat man-to-man, but just running wide open, uncovered, that shouldn't happen. And that's a match of either an offense knowing what we're going to do defensively or somebody blowing a coverage, or a combination of both.
Ricky, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you Saturday. We appreciate your time as always.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Have a good one.
Ricky Thompson with us on Wednesdays.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is a premier, elite, life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, bar, silver sneakers, and more. New bikes arrived and are waiting for you to test yourself, compete against yourself with a screen monitoring your speed, miles, resistance, and power, and with indoor cycling classes every day. New free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, Alex Botch, and Nathan Roach, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. A kids club included with your membership, plus sauna, whirlpool, and a tanning bed. 16 tennis courts, beautiful stadium court, and longtime youth tennis pro Britt Coleman, assistant junior pro Kenna, adult tennis lessons and clinics with Blake, and commitment to pickleball with 8 courts and instructor Jody Thurman. Visit the website, wacotennis.com, or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, 3 Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Burno, Brad Wilson and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
There are games going on right now in college football that have massive implications, not only on playing for conference championship games. Some of those have been set. Texas knows they're playing next week at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. But the thought was it was Oklahoma State. They now trail BYU 24-13, now early, a minute into the fourth quarter. And if you are Texas, you don't care who you play, but you'd love to have the one loss back. If you can eliminate that or erase it, not you erase the loss, but with Oklahoma also, Paul, if this gets down to where there's at 3, 4, 5, whatever happens is Ohio State going to drop? How far do they drop? Hey, you talk about a brand. If FSU can win without their quarterback against Florida, it's a rivalry game. If Washington right now that's playing with their fire with 14 apiece against Washington State, their rival, if you're Texas, I think you would rather, for the committee's sake, eliminate or try to eliminate the team that beats you, plus use a name that is not Oklahoma State.
Well, yeah, just like Oregon is gonna get a chance to wipe out their loss, a very close loss against Washington.
Yes,
Texas would get to do that with Oklahoma. So both those teams that have a loss would get a chance to. It doesn't wipe it out, but it balances it out. You split with these 2 teams. You played them. You came back. Now, it makes you look worse if you lose to the same team twice.
Oh, I know. You lose to Oklahoma, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. So
you're not in the playoff.
But yeah, those are the cards you're dealt at this point in the season. Yeah, and plus you're going to need it's going to get down to the minutia because the committee. You need to dare the committee to put a non-conference champion in over you. So you've got to win it. Like, you have to make them – you don't need to give them an excuse to go, well, the Big 12 doesn't have a good conference champion. This one doesn't have a good conference champion, so we're going to put Ohio State back in, and they'll be the 4th seed, and Michigan will be the 1 seed.
I painted this picture. Michigan-Ohio State was a hell of a football game. Mm-hmm. It's not like Ohio State was beaten by 12, 14, or 21-3.
No, they won by 6.
No one has a bigger brand than they do, even if it's Alabama or Texas or whoever.
Or 4, whatever it was, yeah.
Don't you think they're still a part of this thing? And they don't have to play in the conference championship game, which has been one of the arguments before about you can actually improve your situation next week by not playing. Texas can win the Big 12, and that means whoever it's against, Oklahoma State or Oklahoma, they wanted Alabama. Alabama's now trailing 24-20 to Auburn early in the fourth quarter. So they're playing with their food too. Lots of different scenarios, lots of big brand names. It's kind of fun to watch. They all have to go up against each other in some sort of, hey, we are bigger than you. Ohio State won earlier. Michigan won earlier today in a classic, 30-24. Kentucky beat Louisville. LSU 42-30. Over A&M.
And was losing that game for the lion's share of the first half and a bit. And then Jaden Daniels just said,
No. He went on a run. Arizona is pummeling ASU, Arizona State, 52-23 in the fourth. Again, Oklahoma State down 24-13, 12 minutes left, but they have the ball. BYU up 11. Washington State are tied 14 apiece early in the second half. Also, Tennessee 38, Vanderbilt 10. That's a rivalry game. Tennessee is rolling in that particular game. Other games in the top 25, Liberty leads UTEP 35-14. Liberty's unbeaten. They're going to win that to go to 12-0.
And it appears that Jamie Chadwell has removed himself from the Mississippi State search.
All right, that makes a difference too. Let's see. I'm missing one other game. What is the game between Utah and Colorado? I thought I had that score pop up, and then all of a sudden, Utah 23-17. Heck of an effort, but Colorado falls 23-17 in that one to finish 4-8 after such a spectacular start to their year. So a lot going on, a bunch going on. Those are the updated scores. Again, Oklahoma State trying to come back against BYU. If they win, they're in against Texas next Saturday at AT&T Stadium. If not, Oklahoma, who pummeled TCU 69-45. It was a crazy score. Dylan Gabriel had 400 yards. Texas took the heart and soul of Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders, and maybe Brett Yormark with the way they won that game. And they have so many weapons. It is truly pretty awe-inspiring how you try to slow down with so many of the weapons, and they even unleashed others last night.
Would you like to hear my impression of Joey McGuire during the second half of the game last night? This is him talking to the defense in the second half of the game last night. Guys, just get in their way and just try to tackle them.
Yeah.
Just try, because Texas Tech did not even get in their way.
No, they did. It was a mauling, and you could almost see that building ever since Joey said the Big 12 runs through Lubbock last year. And even though it had nothing to do with him, Brett Yormark up in Lubbock, remember all of the, oh my God. And yes, they played that near the end of that game. Also, Houston lost to UCF. UCF's going bowling for the 8th consecutive year. Good for them. Dana Holgerson, do you have that, Garrett? After the game, with that said, I've got to evaluate everything. I mean, everything. Every coach, every player, every scheme. There's a lot of things that need to be evaluated, and you wonder if he is one of them after losing to UCF earlier today. And Jonathan Smith will be the head coach at Michigan State. Oregon State fans, what a terrible year overall. They're a pretty good football team. Oregon beat them up on Friday, but Oregon State no longer a part of a Power 5, although that's kind of, I guess, semantics. They lose all their teams in the conference other than Washington State, and now they lose their head coach, Jonathan Smith.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, Jonathan Smith's an alum. He's going to tough it out. I mean, you've got an opportunity to go to a power conference that's a definite power conference and not one that's a maybe power conference.
Yep.
You have no idea what the future's going to be. Michigan State, I know this is going to sound weird, offers you stability. They've not been great about that, but Michigan State offers you stability. You get to, and the other thing about it is because given what happened with Mark D'Antonio and then Mel Tucker, with both of those coaching, their tenures ending in controversy, you get to kind of build from the ground up a little bit in a way that makes it yours. And you kind of have carte blanche because you can tell the administration, like, hey guys, you're not doing it right and you need my help to like point this in the direction. So he's got some time, and look, he's an excellent coach. He hires excellent coaches.
Yep.
He does a really good job. So I would not be surprised to see Michigan State being very relevant very soon.
Kansas State is in if Oklahoma State loses. No, it's over. Oklahoma is in. If, in fact, Oklahoma State loses, they'll play Texas, either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. Paxton said, UT just scored again. Arch Manning, that was an explosion at DK Royal Memorial Stadium. When he came in, the players love him. That was kind of neat. Trey Wisner, former Connolly and DeSoto running back, who we covered back in 2020, scored a touchdown late in the game. Texas just absolutely mauled Tech, who ended up, though, they're in the bowl, but they ended up on a down note with a 6-6 overall record. When we come back, my conversation, Dave Randa, is this it no matter what happens tonight? A lot to get to with him. And then Paul, of course, wraps it up. I'm headed to the stadium. Garrett Ross back with more Game Day Live.
It's Du Bois Furniture's biggest and best Black Friday sale ever. Black Friday deals you have to see to believe. Save up to 60% off store-wide. Plus, save an additional $100 off for every $1,000 spent now at Du Bois Furniture.
At Dr. Smiley, you're always our top priority. Dr. Lee, Dr. Lim, and the friendly staff are committed to delivering exceptional and professional care in general, family, cosmetic, and emergency dental services. Get $2,699 implant, abutment, crown, 3D CBCT scan, and consultation with IV sedation available. Dr. Smiley accepts Medicaid and most dental insurance. Call Dr. Smiley today at 254-732-2606 and book your appointment now.
Waco is the heart of Texas, centrally located and home to industry-leading distribution centers like Amazon, Walmart, and Tractor Supply. From Waco, it's easy to get anywhere you want to go. And at Jeff Hunter Toyota, we have the perfect vehicle to get you there, like the new Toyota Tundra, Toyota RAV4, Highlander, and Tacoma. Go where you want to go in a new Toyota. Find yours today at Jeff Hunter Toyota. Toyota quality, Waco values.
Sleep better and save during Du Bois Furniture's Black Friday mattress sale. All our mattresses are priced low to sell fast. Save up to $800 on select Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, and Sealy adjustable sets. Now at Du Bois Furniture.
Download the KWTX First Alert Weather app, sponsored by Capital Farm Credit.
Baylor football coach Dave Randa with me, 365 Sports. How do you approach this last week with so much, the future, off-season, trying to win a game? Is it kind of a mixture of many things on your mind right now?
It could be. You try very hard for it not to be. We talked about in our staff meeting this morning, it's really almost kind of like a spiritual practice because you have to focus on this moment right here, right now. I think it's true with our players at the end of the year, and there's guys being recruited right now, and we're trying to recruit them too, guys that are on our team, and then other people are trying to recruit them, and then there's for sure the transfer portal window is going to open, and then what's next for the guys that are done playing and just their, I didn't get the bowl invite that I wanted. What am I going to do with my life? All those thoughts creep in for coaches. It's, what's next week looking like? What's the recruiting going to be like? All of it. And so, to bring it all back into faith, like right here, this moment, right now, we want to win the game, but let's win the next 10 minutes. Let's win. We're present in this moment. I think it very much has to be that. I imagine people have written books about that. If we do it good, maybe we could write a book too.
Caden Jenkins last week put out a couple of social media about respect my decision, and eventually I'm all in. And I guess that's about maybe him being taken care of in the future, and wanting to see what the future holds. What was that like here inside the building?
Good. Yeah, I think the last couple weeks there's been every week there's talks one-on-one with coaches and players that have nothing to do with ball, that school, off the field, family, and then lately here money's been a part of that, and so expectation, want or wish, and so all of that comes into play. And so, for us on our side of it is like, what's the reality? And a lot of times the reality can be lost in the mist and fog of this is what I heard, this is what was posted, this was what high school coach said, this is what a 7-on-7 coach said. And so I think if we could use the term negotiations, if there is negotiations with an assistant coach contract, there's kind of, I don't know, I think there's rules. So there's rules that you go by, and there has to be kind of factors into it and everything else. And I think with this, there's, there's not so much. And so I think for us to kind of have those conversations a long time back, all the way through, is a way to kind of, wherever the bigger picture is that if someone's in a valley or someone's in a pit, we want to be in the pit with them. If we want to know the tries and the efforts they've come to get out of the pit. If someone has this wish or desire, we want to know that they do that, and we want to be there trying to advocate for them. And so I think all of this gives us a clearer picture of the reality as we best can know it, and that gives us the chance then to address that.
We have Jeremy Fudge on today on the show this afternoon to kind of explain what is apparently a change in the NIL for Baylor. How much of that was something that you agreed with? Well, I know you can't get too deep into it, but something that needed to change. How much of that was something that you'd rather not change, and you just have to realize that this program needs an adrenaline rush?
Oh, no, I feel it very much needs to change. And I just think it very much needs to change. I think when you look at I know we're being recorded, so it's hard for me, probably a little bit more than you, to speak on it. But I think for this change to happen, we're one of the few teams in our league, or possibly in all of it, that haven't changed, And so for us to have this change is really important. And so I think that, to do all of this, and then to do it in such a way that, you're still valuing people is just I think that's the only concern I would have. I think it's very necessary and we need to do it. The only concern I would have would be that it would turn us into a transaction. And while that is at the heart of what it is, we can't act like that. And we can't make people feel like that because they're just kids. And so I think it's, to hold the tension of both sides, of both the success and ego and power and money on one, and then love and mercy and empathy on the other. We have to be right in the middle of that.
Let me ask you this. You have a contract here and have one game left in the regular season. We know how difficult this has been. And then you see this change in the NIL. Is this part of you also embracing what needs to be done for you to be the one that finishes and turns this thing around?
I don't know. Well, probably so. I would not look at it like this is like being dragged and pulled into it. I would look at it as all of it is an opportunity to I hate to say grow, but is an opportunity to be better. I don't know. I just think Julian of Norwich says first the fall and then the recovery from the fall. And both are the mercy of God. And I just think you have to embrace all of it from the beginning. So whether it's the things that are like you or the things that are way opposite from you, you have to, in the beginning, you have to say yes to all of it. And so I just think that this is part of that, And I think the opportunity for me to be better in this space, and to I just think a lot of the guys I feel that were really took off with this in the beginning. I look back and I should have pushed harder for it in the beginning. I think my hesitation in it, I think we've talked about. And so I think to learn from that and to be better is way acknowledged on my side.
If you don't mind me asking, do you expect to be the one that turns this around?
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I think that anytime you have a losing season, you have a season prior where you lost, and then you have a season like this where, unfortunately we're losing. The reality says that you wouldn't be back, and so I think that's all understood. I think from me and where my heart is and where, my value is in our people here and the connection and the team. And I just feel those things are really strong. And I'm hopeful that those can be things we can build upon.
What happened to reliable, violent offense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we struggled in the beginning to run the ball. And I just think that that led to some young people playing. And then that led to, this young guy has this mistake compiled by now. This young guy has got that mistake. And then that compiles to, are we any good? Is this even going to work? And then you just add so on and so forth. And so you stop the bleeding with if the spotlight's on the run game, then, there's a lot of blood there. And so you have to take the spotlight off of it and then work on it kind of in the dark and then get the throws out faster to get quick bubble screens and line throws that can take the place of the runs and so the spotlight's on that. So that hopefully the run game can get to a point where you can move the spotlight back to the run game. And so there's been some of that here at the end of the year. We were all hoping for a lot more on this past Saturday. And so we've got one more game to try to get more.
You've made your career out of defense.
Yes.
How much does this hurt when you have another performance like that against TCU? I know in the postgame you said it inexcusable in some cases. Yeah. How much does that hurt? Because that's what that's supposed to be your core.
Right. Yeah, it does. It hurts. And, I first hurt for Palage because I just see, I think it was after the K-State game. It took him till Monday for him to look me in my eyes, And so I just know that he wears it really strong and he's trying and I have to help him better. I have to help him more, And so I just think that the improvements that were made, there was a stretch there where I think Houston included, Iowa State, where we weren't winning, but we were playing better. I think that has turned here these last 2 weeks, and it's been unfortunate to see. I think some of that's been compiled or pushed to the brink here with injuries, and that may be the case again with linebackers for this next game. But with all of that, I mean, we got to get results regardless. And so, we've got another opportunity versus a really good team that is a really strong identity. And so there should be no mistaking what we're going to get. We got to stop it.
Dave Randa, Baylor football coach, 365 Sports.
Game Day Live, sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Central Texas Plumbing Solutions, and Centex Roof Systems.
Hi, my name is Randy Crook. I'm the president of Waco Goodfellas. Our organization strives to ensure that every kid has a chance to believe in Santa Claus. Over the last 30 years, we've touched the lives of over 5,000 children, each one leaving away with a gift, a smile, and the belief that kindness still exists. This year, we're hoping to raise $10,000 to deliver a piece of Christmas to hundreds of homes across Waco, not only to fill the hearts of the kids, but the family as a whole.
When it's your time to start driving, stay focused. Don't let yourself get distracted by your friends, your radio, and especially not your phone. It only takes a moment of distraction to change your life forever. Make a pledge to yourself and your parents. Don't text and drive. Stay focused on the road. It could be the decision that saves your life. This message is brought to you by your friends at Tow King.
A moment of distraction can change your life forever.
Stay focused on the road.
Don't text and drive.
The wait is over for Black Friday deals on all new 2023 Ram 2500s in stock. Huge discounts like $18,000 off MSRP on limited mega cabs, $15,000 off MSRP on Laramie diesel crew cabs, and $12,000 off the Workhorse Cummins diesel tradesman. Don't miss deals like this, they won't last long. Going on now at the Black Friday sales event only at MacHikeDodge.com.
Get that great Mac Hike feeling.
Welcome back in Game Day Live. Paul Catalina here. Smokey on his way to the game as kickoff is in just about 16 minutes or so. We're joined once again at the stadium by Chad Votherine, who is there. And Chad, the rain is, it's not a torrential downpour, but it's been like a kind of on and off drizzle, spit, whatever you want to call it, mist, that appears to me that it'll be just annoying enough to affect the game tonight.
Yeah, Paul, well, it's especially annoying for us guys holding the camera down on the field. I mean, it's probably our biggest enemy, but, it hasn't really started to pour at all. I hear maybe about 30 minutes, right around 6:05, 6:15 time, around there. It's going to rain pretty badly, I think. And, I mean, it's getting colder and colder. I mean, the temperatures have dropped a lot since we've just been out here last couple of minutes. I mean, the weather's coming, and honestly, that's probably how a team like West Virginia would order it today.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run the ball right at Baylor all night long. I mean, it might take away some of their vertical passing game, but Chad, this one for Baylor, if you're going to be the ultimate optimist in this, and how do they stay in this, is this a kind of damn the torpedoes game where they just empty out the, like, if it's in the playbook, run it. Like, just pour it all out there.
Yeah, Paul, I mean, we wanted to see that all season, and quite frankly, especially on 3rd and 4th down plays when they're trying to go for it. We haven't seen anything different at all, and so it's about time if they do choose to change stuff up. I mean, who knows what's going on in the offensive room, but, I mean, yeah, we need to see some of that. I mean, they've had very, very few attempts of trickery type of plays, and I'd like to see that, especially if Sawyer's playing. If they're down Blake, obviously, and they don't have all their guys. You want to get all the tricks out. And I mean, because you're gonna have to start fresh in the offseason in a couple months, anyways.
Yeah, Chad, I'm looking behind you, and we're not too far away from kickoff. It's not very full. A 3-8 team, and the weather as bad as it is, this should not be so much of a shock, should it?
No, not at all. I mean, especially with Thanksgiving, and a lot of kids are still enjoying their Thanksgiving breaks back home. So to be honest, it's ugly truth, but not a lot of incentive to end their Thanksgiving break early and come back to Waco if they're from different places. And so, not a lot of incentive to come to this game early. And so, I was told to be expecting about 20,000. Obviously, the weather's kind of slowed that down a bit, but I don't even know if we see 10,000 yet. That'd be just under a fourth of the stadium capacity if that's the case.
All right, Chad, what is your rain gear situation? How are you prepared for this?
Oh, yeah, Paul, it's the trash bag over the camera when you're filming. If I'm going live later on KWTX or CBS channel, and then, I'll have some, rain gear, maybe throw in a poncho if I need it. But, it's always the trash bag over the camera. That gets people sometimes, and it's kind of hard to film. It's kind of hard to move around, and you have to adjust it every now and then. It's a pain. The Iowa State game was this way. It was a lot worse at this time, a lot worse at the beginning. It's not going to be too bad, but again, we'll have to deal with it a little bit. So, yeah, I got a trash bag. I have a couple. If that one gets broken up and things like that, and I got a rain jacket downstairs as well. All
right, I'm going to try to get us an endorsement for the show for next season for weather. Glad, yes. The only trash bag trusted by cameramen everywhere. Glad.
Oh yeah. We got to get the Glad. We got to get the extra strength.
Yeah.
Maybe the scented ones wouldn't be bad either. We got to get
the big course. Yard one, like the big one you put in the yard that you put leaves and sticks in. That's what you need.
Oh yeah. The big contractor bag to put myself in and the camera. That's what we need exactly.
Yes. This report, not at all sponsored by Glad, but glad it could be. All right, Chad. Yes. Chad, enjoy the game. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Garrett, if that works.
Oh, you could be onto something.
If that works. I've been trying to do it for a lot of things across our shows.
It would make Jack so happy. It
hasn't worked yet, but look, if we could get, look, for us and for KWTX, that's a big account.
It is.
It's a big account. Let's get that done.
There's a lot of equipment that he's protecting.
It is.
Glad.
Like, these are, if you ever think Man, I wish I had that job. It's a great job. None of us are complaining. But these are the days where you're like, this is why, like, no job is like, unless you're Heidi Klum, right?
Right.
No
yeah.
job is perfect every day. This is where, like, the cool sports guy job, this is the toll you have to pay to have the job.
It is. I think it's a risk worth taking, but I think a lot of people out there, is with the rain and everything, how many people are about to start having PTSD to Air Force last year? Like, it's raining, it's cold, there's not a lot of people there. I know it's not on that level, man, but
TCU
the vibes, like,
TCU 2015, that one, that was, it's cold and rainy, and No, I'll tell you, we've got the post-game show on the Sick'em 365 channel after this. I'll be in a completely different getup by the time that happens because it will be colder.
Come on, don't fold.
I am. I'm not that guy. I'm not that
built
guy.
like that.
No, I'm not.
Shameful.
I don't do well in the cold. We'll take a break. We'll come back and wrap it up. This is Game Day Live.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is a premier elite life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, bar, silver sneakers, and more. New bikes arrived and are waiting for you to test yourself, compete against yourself with a screen monitoring your speed, miles, resistance, and power, and with indoor cycling classes every day. New free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, Alex Botch, and Nathan Roach, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. A kids club included with your membership, plus sauna, whirlpool, and a tanning bed. 16 tennis courts, beautiful stadium court, and longtime youth tennis pro Britt Coleman, assistant junior pro Kennup, adult tennis lessons and clinics with Blake, and commitment to pickleball with 8 courts and instructor Jody Thurman. Visit the website, wacotennis.com, or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Game Day Live on Sick'em 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Just a quick look at some scores around the country as we head into Baylor versus West Virginia, just underway here in about 10 minutes or so once they get everything going. With 1:43 left in the game, 4th and goal at the Auburn 26. Alabama trails Auburn 24-20.
This happens every year, man. Like, and I don't know if maybe last week when Auburn got upset by New Mexico, that's like, we don't want to put all our cards on the table. We're saving everything up. But it seems like it doesn't matter every year when it comes down to the Iron Bowl. It's always going to be a back and forth affair. I'm not surprised to see the Fighting War Eagles in it, but man, that would shake up the standings if they're able to pull that off.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, they've got 4th and goal at the 26, so the only way, I mean, that this thing can end, because they can't kick a field goal with 1:43 left, down 4 points. So the only way that this ends for Alabama well is if they score a touchdown on this play, or get a penalty and get a first down. So that is dicey. It is 21-14 Washington in the Apple Cup over Wazoo. UTEP making a bit of a late push in the fourth quarter, but that one's about to end. Liberty 42-27. BYU and Oklahoma State right now 24-21. 5:15 left in that game, and BYU leads it. Oklahoma State can come back and win the game. They're in the Big 12 title game. If they lose, Oklahoma goes in, and, of the 128 scenarios, I think 100 of them went away last night when Tech rolled through, but this would wipe away all the rest of them, and Oklahoma State would wind up there. They're down by 3 at home, 5 minutes left to go in the game. It is second down, so that one will be interesting, and Bears watching as this completes. And, elsewhere, big upset today. Kentucky beats Louisville 38-31. Michigan over Ohio State 30-24, solidifying their spot in the Big Ten championship game against Juggernaut Iowa, who scored 13 points. If you had the over at 24, then you lost yesterday.
Yes.
Iowa, Nebraska, 23 combined total points. In this one, Garrett, I just don't see it for Baylor with Sawyer Robertson playing, with the run defense as bad as it's been, with, the way that Baylor can't run the ball. Like, this kind of plays into West Virginia's hands tonight, and Neil Brown completes. They were 4-8 last year, right?
Yep.
He flips it and makes it 8-4. The weather, it's all just bad news for Baylor. The situation with Coach Randa's, future, all that hangs over this game. And this, to me, I mean, at least from the outside looking in, and now things can get different on rivalry weekend, but this feels like a just get it over with game for Baylor.
No, it really does. It's unfortunate, especially for this group of seniors. You've had a lot of those guys who come back for their 6th year hoping things would be better. Unfortunately, it's really kind of like to a larger part to how they didn't live up to the hype, in this situation that you're in a game right now with an empty stadium, not a lot of hope, not a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a worst case scenario if you're Baylor because of the weather situation, how West Virginia likes to run their offense. Not having Blake out there is definitely a situation you were not hoping to walk into. Sawyer Robertson, I don't know what to expect from him. He's been kind of hit or miss in the limited action we saw him have. I'm really interested to see what happens with Drake Dabney, because that's a guy who he's been your most key part of the offense all year long. He's also a guy who did not walk with the seniors. So what's his future going to hold, if it's going to be back at green and gold, hitting the portal, or what? Those are just a couple of things to keep an eye on. Yeah, there's a lot that's going to be going on after this game. But we all on the website, everybody picked West Virginia. Everybody picked West Virginia big. Oh, my gosh. Guess what, Garrett? What?
4th and goal at the 31-yard line. Jalen Milroe pass complete to Isaiah Bonds.
Roll Tide.
For a touchdown. And Alabama does it again. They do it again. Oh, my gosh. So I'm sure some of you might have tuned away from us when that was going on. You're not watching this now. But if you're watching us and wondering what happened, Alabama, with 32 seconds left in the game, just took the lead 26-24 and ruined Auburn's day and anybody who hoped Alabama would be eliminated from the playoff after today. That's going to do it for us. Thank you to everybody who was a part of Game Day Live this year. Everybody at KWTX, Josh Young, Chad, Darby, Garrett, Craig, Smokey, from me. Thank you very much. Enjoy the game, everybody. See you soon.
Central Texas Plumbing Solution is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. So when you need some help before the big game, call Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
I've known Tony now for about 9 years, which is about the time I've been a minister here at the Church of Christ in Groesbeck. I've known his son for a while, but I did not know his son was now moving into the business with him. And it was great interacting with him He's a young man, and he's going to do his dad proud with this business. This is just a great roof. It's going to do us good for a long time. And we're glad to have Syntex Roof Systems involved in making this possible for us.
God bless Texas.
Hey folks, Derek Scott here with Jim Turner Chevrolet. I would like to thank everyone that supports the JTC family and let you know that our family values your business.